Requirements that architects gather mostly in written form deliver enough information to build an effective business layer, but not always contain enough information to design effective wizards and workflows for users. In addition, any effort beyond plain gathering of requirements is often perceived by managers as a waste of time and resources. Hence, for a long time, development has been a bottom-up process. And in a typical bottom-up method, you start modeling the persistence subsystem and then add a business layer on top of that. If you did a good job at this point, the system is capable of performing all functions it was designed for. But what about the user interface? Proceeding bottom up, you work on business and presentation layers separately. More, you tend to envision a user interface cut to fit the data model rather than work and data flows as the customer expects. At the very minimum, you get some impedance due to data mismatch. It's a mismatch between the view model that users wish to have versus the data domain model you created. There sure is a way to smooth the impedance and make the system work anyway. However, that requires extra time, represents an extra cost, and in my opinion, that is the most painful aspect of software development today. Just the aspect that UX-driven design attempts to mitigate. Imagine you design now the system in a top-down manner. You use business and usability requirements to craft the user interface first. Customers validate the user interface to ensure an experience that is close to ideal, and you then proceed with an effective implementation of processes. The data model at this point is a pure matter of persistence, and the data can be persisted in the most effective format that suits reads and writes. UX-driven design promotes a top-down approach to software development in which the front end is designed up front and the back end is just cut to fit. More, from the user's perspective, the entire system is made of just a well-done user interface and everything else is just black magic. Let's get into some more details. The presentation layer is made of screens, whether XAML or HTML forms, and each screen identifies a way for the user to interact with the system. Every action triggers a workflow in the back end. In a top-down scenario, workflows are public endpoints on the application layer part of the business logic directly connected to the presentation. The application layer, therefore, is designed to fit specifically the forms in the presentation and to process input and view models as they have been determined by the presentation. Domain and infrastructure layers just provide services for the implementation of the workflows. In the end, the user experience is just what users want or very close to it, and the backend is tailor-made to support just the workflows that users approved. In other words, if you proceed in a top-down way, you can't just make it wrong. Architecturally speaking, UX-driven design and its top-down approach pushes a couple of buzzwords that you have surely heard already: CQRS and event sourcing. The overall design is task-oriented, and tasks can be either commands or queries. Having two distinct stacks as per the CQRS pattern is then natural, and why not also having two distinct data stores. In the next module, I'll discuss an example adapted from real experience of how plain requirements looked fine on paper but proved completely inadequate in the battlefield